If you had loved me, if you had been a real husband instead of a ghost living in this house, maybe I would explain. But you're not, so I won't.
As Beauty's daughters grew, from newborns to infants to toddlers, the red clothing became not just a preference, but an obsession. Beauty bought only red clothes for them. Red dresses, red shoes, red hair ribbons, red socks. She even insisted their bedsheets be red, their toys be red, everything in their lives touched by this color that had somehow become synonymous with their existence. Obinna, the girl's father, watched all of this with growing concern and confusion. He will sometimes say to himself,
"What have I done to myself? I never wanted this woman at all. How did I even allow my mother to pressure me to choosing my family allowance over the woman who had loved me for 6 years?"
He will sob into his hand. His heart still belonged to Mira, to the life he had thrown away, and to the mistakes he couldn't undo.
Be okay, Mira.
But here he was, with a wife he didn't love and 2 daughters he didn't know how to connect with, living in a house that felt more like a prison than a home. He tried, in his own broken way, to be a good father. He provided for them, he kept a roof over their heads and food on the table, but emotionally he was absent, going through the motions of fatherhood without ever really being present. Obinna looked at her like an intruder who had forced her way into his life rather than his legal wife. Their marriage was a cold war fought in silence. Days would pass without them speaking beyond the necessary exchanges. The girls need new shoes, there's food in the pot, or I'll be late coming home. Conversations stripped of intimacy, of anything resembling love. Sometimes, late at night, when she couldn't sleep, Beauty would stand at the window and look up at the stars and wonder where Mira was, what her life was like, whether she ever thought about the people she had left behind. And in those moments, Beauty would feel something twist in her chest, not quite regret, not quite guilt, but something close. But she would push those thoughts away, lock them in the same dark place where she kept all her other uncomfortable truths, and she would go back to bed and lie next to a man who felt like a stranger. People in the village began to talk. At first, it was just curious comments. Why does Beauty always dress those girls in red? Is it a fashion choice? But as the months turned into years and the red never changed or varied, the comments became whispers, and the whispers became questions, and the questions became suspicions.
Something is not right with those children,
Old Mama Chioma said one day at the stream, her voice low but carrying weight.
No mother dresses her children in only one color for years unless there's a reason, a spiritual reason. Or maybe.
Another woman said, her voice dropping even lower.
Maybe those children belong to something else. Maybe they're not fully hers. Remember how she chased her stepsister away to take that house? A stolen foundation cannot hold a clean house.
But the strangest thing about the twins wasn't the red clothing. It was the cowrie shells. Around each girl's neck, from the day they were born, hung a single white cowrie shell on a thin cord. Beauty never removed them. Not for baths, not for sleep, not ever. If anyone tried to reach out to admire the shells or adjust them when they twisted, Beauty would smoothly but firmly intercept their hands, her unblinking smile rigid and ice cold.
Oh, please don't touch it,
she would say, her voice tight with an underlying panic she tried hard to mask.
It is none of your business.
Her defensive excuses only fueled the rumors, but nobody dared challenge her to her face. As the twins grew older, they developed their own unique personalities despite looking identical. Precious was the serious one, always watching, always thinking, with eyes that seemed too old for her young face. Promise was the artist, always drawing, singing, and finding beauty in small things that others overlooked. But both of them, no matter how different their internal worlds, shared one defining characteristic: obedience to the red. They never questioned it, never complained. When their mother laid out red clothes each morning, they put them on without protest. When other girls at school wore colorful dresses and fancy patterns, the twins wore their red and seemed content, as if they had never imagined any other possibility. People stared. Children pointed. Some laughed, while some avoided them. The twins became known throughout the village and beyond as the Red Sisters, the Blood Girls, the Spirit Twins. But to their faces, people were usually polite because there was something about the girls that made you hesitate. Something that whispered, "This is not normal. This is not natural. Be careful." By the time the girls were 6 years old, Beauty had still never explained the true reason why they wore red. Obinna had asked once, early on, and Beauty had snapped at him so viciously that he never asked again.
Why do the girls always wear those shells? Why can't they remove them?
It's none of your concern,
she had said, her voice sharp as broken glass.
They are my daughters, and I dress them how I want. If you had loved me, if you had been a real husband instead of a ghost living in this house, maybe I would explain. But you are not, so I won't.
The truth was, Beauty herself didn't fully understand the dynamic anymore. She just knew that the red felt necessary, compulsory, like breathing. The girls were 6 years old when they started asking questions. Not about the red clothes, they had accepted those as normal, as just part of who they were, but about the cowrie shells.
Mama,
Promise asked one morning while Beauty was braiding her hair.
Why do we wear these shells? What are they for?
Beauty's hands paused just for a moment before continuing with the braid.
They're for protection,
she said, her voice carefully neutral.
They keep you safe.
Safe from what?
Precious asked from the corner where she was reading.
From bad things.
Beauty said vaguely.
From harm. From evil.
Can we ever take them off?
Promise asked, her fingers absently touching the shell at her throat.
No.
Beauty said sharply. Too sharply. And both girls looked at her with wide eyes. She softened her tone, forcing a tight, artificial smile.
They must stay on always. That is very important. Do you understand? Never take them off. Not for anything.
The girls nodded, accepting this as they accepted everything else. But something had shifted. A seed of curiosity had been planted, and it would grow slowly, quietly, over the years, until one day it would bloom into questions that Beauty wouldn't be able to answer, mysteries she couldn't unravel, truths she couldn't hide. But that day was still years away. For now, the girls were just children, living their strange, red-tinted lives, unaware that they were part of something larger, something darker, something that had been set in motion before they were born, and that would follow them for the rest of their lives. And the twins would sleep in their red pajamas, in their red room, under their red blankets, the white cowrie shells resting against their collarbones, pulsing faintly with something that wasn't quite life, but wasn't quite nothing either. And the village would sleep around them, unaware that a darkness was growing in their midst, that a price would eventually have to be paid, that some deals made in desperation echo through generations, shaping destinies in ways that no one can predict and few can escape. And their mother, beautiful on the outside but hollowed out on the inside, would watch them grow and wonder every single day if the price she had paid to have them.
Was it worth it? Did I really win? Or did I lose everything that mattered?
in the pursuit of a victory that tasted like ashes in her mouth.